Well, once again, welcome everyone to the INDA and Sustainable Minds first webcast on building a lifecycle data set of nonwovens brands. We appreciate you taking the time today to come learn about what we're doing, and I have to tell you that we are very excited about creating this innovative industry offering. With me today is my colleague and industry expert, Rich Chapas from Chinai Associates, who has been working closely with INDA and the Sustainable Minds team on developing this offering. Today we're going to present to you some background on Sustainable Minds and INDA. We'll cover the demand for greener products. We'll talk about how to design greener products, how to market greener products, and how all that drives the need and demand for creating an industry-defined data set. We're then going to talk about the benefits of being first, and then how to get started. So before we get started, I'd like to introduce Rich and have Rich give a little bit of background about who he is and what he does, and how he got involved with this project.
Well, hello, everyone, and again, thank you for being here. My background includes technical and management positions at Johnson & Johnson, Kimberly-Clark, and Rainier, and now working as a consultant to the industry. Been involved with INDA for many years, and including, as we'll talk a little bit later, about the Sustainability Committee, which is the origin of this whole project. We looked for experts in the field of life cycle analysis and green product design, and that's how we found Sustainable Minds. So we're real pleased that they're part of this initiative and really the key part of the initiative. And again, it's been a pleasure working with Terry and her staff. So I think you'll find them very accommodating and willing to help you with all your questions. We will be covering this pretty rapidly and making some assumptions in terms of your backgrounds, that you have some basic understanding of life cycle analysis and sustainability. But again, we will always be available afterwards, both Terry and myself, to answer any specific questions about the subject matter. So with that, I'll turn it back to Terry.
Thanks, Rich. And a little bit of housekeeping. In your control panels is a questions panel. And as you have questions, feel free to post them, and we will either answer them in the context of the webcast, or we'll take some questions at the end, and if your question doesn't get answered, we will follow up with you directly and answer that question offline. So without further ado, let me introduce how Sustainable Minds and INDA got together. First, as Rich said, INDA identified Sustainable Minds as a company that looked a lot like a company that could deliver on what the Sustainability Committee several years ago had laid out as a requirement for the industry, which was to help operationalize environmental performance into product development and manufacturing to drive revenue and growth through greener product innovation, which happens to be our company mission. We brings two things together: life cycle thinking, which drives innovation, and life cycle assessment as a real-time metric and measurement tool in the design process that ultimately arrives at truly greener products. You think differently, apply strategies across the life cycle, measure while you generate new options, rapidly make trade-offs, and get insights into how to arrive at the best solutions. We've had a software solution in the market for just about 5 years. Because we're in the cloud, because we're affordable, easy to use, we've seen adoption all over the world, both in industry and in education, and in every type of education. Business programs, every type of engineering, chemical, environmental, civil, mechanical, industrial design, and now architecture. We're very excited about the range of manufacturers and educational facilities using Sustainable Minds because it's all driving the creation of new kinds of knowledge workers for the greener product marketplace. So Sustainable Minds has always been focused on durable goods industries, so not food products and not products that are consumed. And you can see the categories that we have provided data and solutions for on the right. And our focus going forward for the next few years is to put a lot of attention and energy into the building products and furniture industry, nonwovens, as well as other materials, metals, plastics, and advanced materials. Because ultimately, these are all the kinds of inputs that manufacturers in these industries are going to need to design new and greener products. Last year, at the end of the year, at the IDEA Expo, INDA and Sustainable Minds announced our industry sponsor relationship, again around that mission to drive revenue and growth through greener nonwoven innovation. Dave Roos, the new INDA president, is very committed for environmental sustainability to be a key part of what INDA brings to the marketplace, and is encouraging all manufacturers across the nonwovens value chain to get involved. Together, we will be delivering a continually expanding industry-defined lifecycle dataset, which is what we're here to talk about today, example products, services and training, knowledge sharing, and ultimately creating a platform for showcasing greener manufacturers and their products and the applications of these new materials and processes. So let's talk a little bit about the demand for greener products. So today, manufacturers are facing two key problems. They need and want to make greener products, and once they do, they want to be able to market greener products. And there's plenty of drivers in the industry today supporting these two needs, from the cost of natural resources and competition, regulation coming out of the EU and now all over the world, managing supply chain risk, with finished product manufacturers being responsible for the contents of their products, competing with brands that have already added green and raised the bar. But the real opportunity for revenue and growth is through new product innovation that gets you into new markets, gets you new customers, and ultimately new revenues. Where we're going to key in a little bit today is to talk about what is the power of a brand, because we're here to talk about building a nonwovens data set of nonwovens brands. So what's the power of a brand? And all of you care about and invest in your brands. And as the market expands, and in this world of ever-expanding choices, the commitment to be clear and differentiated and have meaning is increasingly important. The other increasingly important driver is this demand for transparency coming out of the supply chain management and the demand from customers. This demand for transparency is driving LCA-based standards, metrics, and certifications. And now not just the traditional companies that you would expect to be program operators or in the standards and certification business. We're seeing new kinds of industry associations, government agencies, NGOs getting into the process of defining what green means, how it's going to be measured, to try to create a standardized way for comparison, credible comparison, so that customers of all of your companies can make better informed and smarter decisions. And we are all really at the very beginning of creating standards for metrics and measurement. Everyone involved in the process is determining right now, where do we fit, how do we get involved, and how do we make it simpler, more credible, and useful to our customers. So LCA is the globally recognized scientific method to measure green. So this demand for transparency is requiring more specific science But there's a lot of problems with LCA today that those of you who are on the call are probably well aware of, that it's expensive and time-consuming. The data collection is the most time-consuming part. There's a shortage of knowledge and know-how about doing LCA. It's explicit and traditionally done after a product has been manufactured, but the ability to conduct what-if analysis and R&D is crucial so that we actually can be evaluating those decisions early on before committing to what it is we're going to make. There's a shortage of LCI data available in the public data sets, and frequently that data is out of date. On top of that, there is no fast data distribution platform or mechanism for manufacturers, like some of you on the call today, to bring your new greener products to market and get that in front of customers who would be interested in knowing. We've already talked about a lack of standardized methods and metrics that make your LCAs and your EPDs of same or similar products comparable. And ultimately, if you're a manufacturer who has spent the time and money on LCA and EPDs, many of the manufacturers that we've spoken to are still unsure of what to do with these results and if they're really able to leverage the investment and generate the value that they hope will be created. And on top of that, there's many more people who have to work together across the supply chain to make decisions about products, and everyone involved needs access to analysis, data, knowledge, and to other people who care. Sustainable purchasing is on the rise. A testament to that was the announcement of a new Sustainable Purchasing Leadership Program. It was announced yesterday. There were over 1,600 people on that webcast to learn about how sustainable purchasing will get standardized. So that's up and coming. And if you as a manufacturer, whether you're a raw material manufacturer, process equipment, components or rolled good or finished product manufacturer, if you haven't yet been asked to supply data or information about what's in your products, you will. It's coming. There's been some very good research done to demonstrate the value that can be measured in financial metrics, done by Deloitte and a number of supply chain industry associations, to demonstrate that engaging suppliers, providing tools, policies, processes, and rewards for sharing knowledge and experience are the critical inputs to building successful, sustainable value chains, again, that can be measured both in environmental performance improvements and cost savings. And the key strategy here is to integrate, like say, a carrot with what is traditionally perceived as a stick type of request. But we want to change that whole perception, turn it around so that suppliers and finished product manufacturers are all working in harmony to bring better, greener products to market. So Sustainable Minds is committed to helping manufacturers design greener products and market greener products through helping them make better design decisions, better marketing decisions, and ultimately so that their customers can make better purchase decisions. In the design phase, we're committed to helping reduce the cost of LCA, making it more efficient, operationalizing it into the development process, engaging and rewarding suppliers, and we want to help market greener products by helping manufacturers get visibility, make transparency reporting credible and efficient, standardize comparability to the degree that the reports help end users make more informed purchase decisions, and all the while connect buyers and sellers through this virtuous cycle, which will ultimately grow the market and your company through greener product innovation. So let's drill into a little bit of designing greener products using Sustainable Minds. Sustainable Minds is based on 3 pillars: software, data, and collaboration, learning and knowledge management, and community. We knew when we created this product that designing just another tool for calculation was not going to help us achieve our mission. So in fact, Sustainable Minds, we refer to it as eco-concept modeling software with real-time LCA results. It is design software or business analytics software, take your choice, but it enables product development teams to model in early stage development and use lifecycle thinking and lifecycle results through the stage gate process to bring a greener product to market. Now notice I said a greener product to market. One of our fundamental tenets is that there is no such thing as a green product. All products use materials, they all create waste, they all use energy. Green is a relative value. So it's all about creating comparisons. So Sustainable Minds is designed to enable you to build a reference or a benchmark product, understand where in the system the impacts are occurring, what's causing them, and then to be able to copy that reference or to build new reference, new product concepts, and ultimately every concept that you generate subsequent to the reference shows you the environmental performance improvement or the lack of improvement as you explore new concepts. And you can change the reference at any time so that you're always comparing to what you either think is the best or doing comparisons based on the exploration of what it is you want to learn. The Sustainable Minds is used to benchmark and compare. It delivers quantified estimates of environmental performance, again, intentionally designed for non-LCA experts to be able to integrate into product development. It's a standardized system for credible modeling and comparisons, and ultimately delivers easy to interpret and share graphical results. Now, part of what we've done to simplify lifecycle assessment for non-lifecycle assessment experts is to create a single-figure scoring methodology. The science that we use is from trusted sources. We use Tracy, which is the impact assessment methodology from the EPA. Our normalization and weighting data is from NIST. All of our underlying LCI data is from publicly available data sources like EcoInvent and the US LCI Dataset and other publicly available sources. And you can learn more about our methodology in our Learning Center. We have an extensive section that drills into what it is, how it was done. There's an ISO 1440 methodology report that can be downloaded. And so for those of you who are lifecycle assessment experts and will need to validate this program with your internal experts, all of the science for the methodology is there. Now let's talk about the use cases for Sustainable Minds. And we've already touched on the key use case being the ability to benchmark. You can benchmark existing products, you can benchmark a new concept in a new product development process, and you can benchmark as much or as little of the product system as you like based on what it is that you're trying to learn. So you can look at all the life cycle stages of a product. You can look at all of the inputs into the product system like packaging and consumables, or you can just look at sub-assemblies and parts to identify where in the life cycle the greatest impacts are occurring and where real performance improvements can be made. What you can do with the results is drive product innovation and R&D, identify breakthrough opportunities, cost reductions, validate real opportunities, and eliminate ones that aren't real. You can set environmental performance targets for products internally and externally, and you can respond to customer reporting requirements, demonstrating that you're doing alternative assessments and just demonstrating that you're taking a whole life cycle approach to making products. Now, what Rich and I did when we started working on creating example products for the nonwovens industry was we identified 3 products that are very important in the nonwovens industries and built example projects. We built a diaper, which was to demonstrate how to benchmark a project. We built a baby wipe project that compares 3 different types of wipes. And we built a medical gowns project that compares 2 different constructions with different performance, functional performance requirements. Now, all of these example projects are downloadable in the Sustainable Minds software, which, by the way, you can sign up for a free trial at any time and try your hand at these projects. And the purpose of the diaper project, which I'm going to show you very briefly, was to initially understand how the material components and processes influence environmental performance. Just a top-line, quick benchmark. But the underlying purpose was also to begin to understand what are the data requirements to build out this lifecycle data set by product category and begin to discover the discrepancies, to be able to illustrate the discrepancies between using proxies and using real industry data provided by manufacturers. So benchmarking is a great way to get started and get insights into your own products, and a way to verify the need and opportunity for better data. So in this diaper project, what we were trying to solve and learn was to rapidly benchmark an existing product. How quickly could you do it? Identify the greatest impacts, generate design and engineering priorities for the most promising greener innovations. What we learned was that the fluff pulp is the greatest contributor by far, and replacing that fluff pulp with new superabsorbents that are coming to the marketplace is the most opportune place to improve the environmental performance of that diaper. However, we need data for superabsorbents. And what makes a nonwoven are nonwovens processes. And there is no nonwovens process information anywhere publicly available. This is kind of the #1 data request that we'll be working with manufacturers to acquire is nonwovens process information. So starting the project with Rich, Rich filled out our benchmark project form. Now you can do this on your own, or you can do it with Rich and the team from Sustainable Minds. And this is called our benchmark project to help you get going. Rich listed the components of a diaper and estimated the weight of those components, and we then mapped those inputs to our data set, our existing data set in Sustainable Minds, and began to identify where there were opportunities and need to add additional industry data and branded data to flesh out those product categories. We built the model, which you can do one of 2 ways. You can build a model, what we call a system bill of materials, of your materials in a structured BOM and import that into Sustainable Minds. Or you can build part by part by clicking Add a Part and adding it to the model. Now, when we created Sustainable Minds, we merged the language of lifecycle assessment with the language of product development and manufacturing, which is how we came up with the term System Bill of Materials, or SBOM, because we're talking about the whole product system, all the life cycle stages, not just materials. So you can see in the System Bill of Materials tab, you can model manufacturing, which is material and processes, use phase, end of life, and transportation. In this benchmark product for the diaper, we only looked at materials and processes, created our benchmark diaper, analyzed what in the product system was creating the greatest results, the greatest impacts, and impacts to which impact categories. You can see that the fluff pulp is the greatest contributor by far. And in Sustainable Minds, you have a number of different types of results views. This is our overall scorecard view. And what we're setting you up for is here's your reference. Now when you go to design any other competing concept, it will always display relative to the reference so that you can see the variation in improvement or lack of improvement. The results views show you impacts by all the inputs and give you the single figure impact factor score. We also give you a carbon footprint score. And then we also show you total impacts by life cycle stage and carbon footprint by life cycle stage. When you display your results, you can dictate, are the results displayed by part name so that you can understand very clearly what's in the model. You can display it by material type, or you can even display it by part number, and which is particularly relevant for mechanical products that have a lot of parts to them. You can download the system bill of materials to export your data out of the system. There's printable views, and we're happy to give you a demo in one-on-one meetings. There's also a video demo on the website that you can watch at your own leisure. Now the next set of use cases after benchmarking products we'd like to talk about is how Sustainable Minds can be used to win new business in sales and business development, to demonstrate your company's ability to help your customers deliver greener products. Sustainable Minds is also used to analyze the feasibility of logistics and product reuse, so being able to model the impacts of reusing products versus logistical implications of take-back programs and transportation. And finally, Sustainable Minds is being used inside companies to start developing a culture of sustainability and life cycle thinking, to develop the processes in the organization to integrate eco-design and life cycle thinking and environmental performance into the product development process. The key is companies have got to learn how to walk before you're going to be required to run. And the requirement to run is being driven by legislation and your customers. So we are really encouraging the companies that we work with to create demonstration projects, benchmarks, pilot projects, and we support them in distributing and socializing those products and those processes out to other business units and other core knowledge workers responsible for making greener products. So now that you are starting to make greener products, or you're a company that is already making greener products, and you know that because you've already integrated environmental performance, you've already performed life cycle assessment, maybe you've already created EPDs, now you want to be out in the market marketing those greener products. Now because Sustainable Minds is a cloud-based solution, meaning there's nothing to download onto your machine, you log into Sustainable Minds, it lives in the cloud, we're able to deliver managed services to create just the data you need when you need it. So when industry average data isn't good enough to model your products, we can acquire data that might be publicly available but not yet in our data set, or we can work with you to create proxies or collect data from your supply chain or from your primary manufacturing facilities. If you are a manufacturer, you might want to keep your data private because you're not ready to disclose it, and you really only want to use it in the design process. But if you are ready and you do know that you've got a good product, or you simply want to start being transparent because your customers are asking you for it, you can start using Sustainable Minds. Now I'm going to talk about the use case of how you can use Sustainable Minds to win new business. And I'm going to tell you about it through a customer story with one of our customers. At the time, it was called Spartec. Spartec was acquired by PolyOne last year, the end of last year. Actually, sorry, the beginning of this year. Spartec was a billion-dollar manufacturer of plastic packaging and building products. They're committed to environmental sustainability and have embedded environmental impact assessment into all of their design processes using Sustainable Minds. And so to get them set up, we added 75 new thermoplastics and additives so that they could be designing with all the materials that they need. But one day a customer asked Spartec for a material that wasn't in the data set and wasn't publicly available. So we reached out to their supplier, Carrare, and Carrare reached out to the VAM and POVAL Association that had produced LCI data for EVO. They sent the LCI data report over to us, and within a day or two, we were able to add EVO to our thermoplastic data set. And now Spartec could design new product solutions for their customer using a material that that customer had requested. Now, fast forwarding, let me introduce our branded data program, which is an innovative brand building and lead generation solution that we developed really in response to the challenges of today's LCA tools and data distribution mechanisms. And an extension of the branded data program is our Greener Manufacturer Showroom, which is a platform that will enable you to showcase your greener materials, products and processes, and to position your brand to communicate your commitment to transparency and environmental performance in a compelling and credible way. The branded data program has 3 levels. We have the basic level that adds your brand and a link to your website in the data selector. We have illustrated data sheet, which will allow you to add photographs, functional specifications, use cases, alternatives to other materials or processes or use cases, and finally, the ability to add a microsite to the Greener Manufacturer Showroom where you can publish transparency reports. All your illustrated data sheets will be there. You'll be able to add customer stories, examples, and there will be more content to find along the way. So what does this look like? So here we are back to our Carrare story. At the branded level 1, you can see that we have added Carrare's logo, a link to anywhere Carrare would like. It can be to their front page, it could be to a dealer locator, it could be to a contact form. And now a user scrolling through the list of data in our data set is going to see that a branded material is very clearly distinguished from the list of industry average materials. Level 2, illustrated data sheet, another link will be added. When you click on that link, a pop-up with the formatted data sheet, again with photos, functional specifications, applications, alternatives, synonyms, and a lot more information about the source of that data that lifecycle assessment experts would want to know will be there on that illustrated data sheet. And then the third level is the brand will link to the microsite in the Greener Manufacturer Showroom, which I'll show you a sneak preview of in just a bit. But let's talk about now the value of adding your product data to the Sustainable Minds branded data program. And what we'd like to point out is that the value is actually immediate. because it allows you to design better, giving immediate access to your design teams with your materials and processes, so you can design better products. You can engage, educate, and reward your supply chain because you're taking their data, adding it to the data set, and ultimately we'll be announcing a program, or we are actually announcing it, where the branded data program becomes the carrot component of the greener supplier engagement program. Your customers won't have to estimate your product impacts or create proxies that aren't accurate. Now you're making your data available so that really you're driving preference and credibility for your brand. Marketing and selling better gives you visibility where your customer is specifying. It allows people in R&D to discover your products, make credible comparisons, and in that technical R&D environment, connect specifiers with sales channels. We all know that if material is specified in the R&D process, it's very likely to survive into that specification. It gives you global accessibility, instantly available to manufacturers, product consultancies, and educators worldwide. It allows you to engage prospects and customers, do real-time demos comparing your product to alternatives, and it demonstrates transparency and company commitment to greener product innovation. The way you get started is very simple. You start by providing us an ISO 1440 compliant LCI or LCA report, if you have that. And if you don't, we can provide you with our data collection worksheet and work with you to collect the data that we need to create impact factors for your products. Now, if your data is already in EcoInvent or in one of the other public data sources, you can take the data from there to create the impact factors, and you then have the opportunity to add the level of branding and participation that you would like to achieve in this context. What is key and really important to many manufacturers is that your LCI data stays private. So if your company has chosen never to put your data into a public data set because you've not wanted to disclose that data, this is your opportunity to demonstrate transparency, get greener products in front of those folks who would want to know about them, and still preserve the privacy and confidentiality of your LCI data. In our data evaluation process, again, we use all the ISO compliant review processes. We'll evaluate your data for consistency and modeling and the assumptions. We'll ensure that it's aligned with our methodology. We'll compare it against industry average data and other data in your product class, simply to make sure that it doesn't really appear to be out of whack. And like the other data sets, we will require that the data be updated at least every 3 years. But again, I can't stress, because this gets asked frequently, and it is the #1 concern. Your LCA data never gets published. It's never in the public data set. It's never anywhere close. It will always be confidential and stay private. Here's a sneak peek at our Greener Manufacturer showroom. It's really a schematic, so what you're looking at is a marketecture diagram, so to speak. Our intention is to be launching this offering publicly at Greenbuild in 2013 in November. The new LEED version 4 is stipulating life cycle assessment results for the new certification. It's a hot topic there. And again, our focus is on the building products industry, and nonwovens. There's certainly a crossover in those industries, and we will be promoting the Greener Manufacturer Showroom at industry events and in the marketplace across these industries. We'll not only be promoting the manufacturers across the value chain who are participating, but we'll also be promoting the industry associations and the standards and certification and testing companies that are working with us to develop and verify our program and their results. So now that I've laid out who we are, the tools that we're building, let's apply that to the task at hand, which is to create an industry-defined data set. And I'm going to ask Rich to step in and talk about this particular goal. Rich?
Thanks. So here, what the Sustainability Committee at INDA looked at were what are the key materials that go into nonwoven products. And you can see that's quite an extensive list. And one of the things that we had to do was, working with Terry and Sustainable Minds, is boil this down a little bit, and you'll see how we've done that. But you can see the list. We go through it. Some of this data is available and currently is in the data set, but some of it isn't. In the next slide, you'll see, as you'll see here, we get into more specifics about the value chain. Terry's repeatedly emphasized the importance of value chain, and all of you on the call, I'm sure, are aware of this. From Walmart to Procter & Gamble, all the way down the value chain, the emphasis is very clear. What do we need to do in terms of being more transparent and getting this data available so that we all can do a better job throughout the value chain? So you can see from raw materials, roll material, we move to roll goods, and then leading into finished products. And it's quite a list of, as I mentioned earlier, of finished products. So what we've done is boil this down to a smaller number. And what we're really looking for here in this call and through our network is industry experts to help us define what are the top requirements in each per category, if you will. And as Terry pointed out already, we've come up with some manufacturing process data that's very difficult to get and lacking currently. But there are other areas that each of these specific products will require us to understand the interaction among both the processing equipment, the materials, and the final product. So that's where the industry experts are going to come in handy, and we really would like to reach out to them. I've already done that somewhat through, excuse me, my network, but we'll continue to need your help to do this most effectively.
So one of the things I wanted to point out on the last slide is that we have been working with the folks at IDANA who already have a lot of life cycle assessment results and example products and material and process information. And we'll be going forward with them over the next few months to determine what of their content and data will be made available through this program. But they are also excited to see the creation of a global nonwovens data set with everyone being on the same page about credibility, transparency, and the science. So what industry defined means is getting people in the industry who have expertise in materials and processes and sustainability to work with Rich and INDA and our team to develop the top requirements so that we can start reaching out to the manufacturers or sourcing that data in public data sets so that we're building out data sets that are robust and useful by product category. In the exit questions from this webcast, we've invited you to raise your hand if you'd like to participate, because we sure would like to talk with you. Also, just want to assure you that yes, these slides will be made available to you, and if you want to be sure to specifically request them, you can do so in the exit questions, but we will be following up with folks who attended the webcast and can learn more about your interests and requirements. So here's the offer, and really what the whole preamble of this webcast has been about is to invite you to participate in developing this industry-defined data set of nonwoven brands by becoming a premier participating brand. And this premier participating brand program is really an incentive program to jumpstart the industry-defined data set by showcasing brands that are leading the way and by incentivizing your companies and your brands with special pre-launch pricing, software and services, visibility, and a seat at the table to help define the requirements and the evolution of this data set. So some key dates is that at the RISE conference at the end of September, we will be announcing and showcasing the first participating companies. In November at Greenbuild, we will be launching the Greener Manufacturer Showroom with considerable co-marketing between the participants and the partners. And then at the end of January, we'll be, again, demonstrating and doing a nonwovens industry launch of the Greener Manufacturer Showroom. And the goal is to have a very robust set of brands populating some of the key categories in a comprehensive way so that the data set really is fleshing out and becomes useful to manufacturers in key categories. Now, this premier offer ends at the end of October. That doesn't mean that the program ends. It simply means that the premier offer ends, and largely it's so that we can get all of the manufacturers into the program and be ready for this industry-wide launch. So there is some urgency to step up and be part of this go-to-market. So here's how the premier participation works and what you get along with it. So it's a three-step process. You start by selecting the number of products that you want to add. And so there's a one-time cost for our data management services. It's $1,000 to add one material, process, or product, and we decrease the price per product as you add more. Then you select your brand presentation level. Is it level 1 branded? Do you want to build an illustrated data sheet? Or would you like to have a microsite in the Greener Manufacturer Showroom? And the third is to select your premier participating status. We have a platinum, gold, silver, and green. The attributes of each of the programs include visibility and marketing, software and tutorials to train you and your customers and even suppliers to use Sustainable Minds so that they're leveraging your investments and adding your data to the data set. You also, at the platinum and gold levels, will participate in the direction and the definition of the data set. And finally, industry-wide recognition and exposure. Sustainable Minds will be doing a lot, co-marketing with partners. INDA will also be doing a lot on its website, email news, subsequent webcasts, and also through the platform we will be providing you with activity monitoring reports so that you can get a sense of who's looking at your data and how much visibility are you actually getting. So if I were to do a quick scenario so that you get a sense of what this might cost to participate, if you had 5 products, you would pay $3,500 for the data management services for 5 products. You would pay $2,000 to add an illustrated data sheet, and that's for 2 years. That's total. And if you chose the Silver Premier Participation Package, where you get priority positioning, 5 subscriptions, 7 total subscriptions, training, and a seat at the table, for $6,000, you would be spending $11,500. So what we encourage you to do is think about what are you spending today to build a brand, build your brand around greener, and what are you spending on lead generation activities to attract customers who are looking for greener alternatives and solutions, or who are looking for substantiation of what they're putting in their products. So I'm going to turn it over to Rich again to talk about the benefits of being first. Rich, speak to this.
As you can see in the slide here, and as Terry has emphasized throughout the presentation, this transparency is a really critical requirement today, and almost every company is putting a sustainability report which includes as much of this information as they have available. What we're seeing is that it's limited, as you heard in the presentation, so we're here to, by being first, you're going to move in that direction much more rapidly. Doors are going to open, as you see, with the visibility you're going to get in this whole scenario. Now the question also comes up, but what if there's a competitor that comes up with a better environmental result? And as all of you know, environmental performance is one component of a total product performance. So clearly that's going to put you in a position that you're going to say, we need to do some more work in this space. But your other...
All right, let me wrap up then. Some of you have been sending in some very good technical questions, which we're happy to offer more detailed discussion offline. Questions about modeling just the material stage of the diaper. That was intended to show internal design investigation, not for external reporting. So what we're planning for external reporting is a really interesting new industry offering that we would love to tell you more about. And so we'll take those questions offline. Some of the other questions that we've heard as we've been discussing with companies up till now are these. What if you get data from 2 INDA members that conflict? Through our data review and collection process, we will dig in, understand why, and ensure the differences are explained. We've also heard from folks, geez, we're not really doing LCA yet. Why should we do it? It would almost take a customer asking for it. And our response is yes, they will be asking for it, but you might not want to wait because it's coming, so get ready. Walk before you need to run. We talk about what's the value. We don't really like to spend money, but every company is spending money on brand building and lead generation, encouraging you to think about the value of being first and differentiated in a new innovative program. And then another question is, can Sustainable Minds be used to compare a competitor's product? And people in manufacturing and R&D are very accustomed to tearing down and analyzing a competitor's product. Certainly Sustainable Minds can be used in the same way, and the quality of your comparison is as good as the accuracy of your assumptions or the inputs into the model. So here's how you can get started. through our software and services, we have solutions to help you design better. Software, simple to get going services, doing full LCA, helping with your supplier program, and then software and services to help market better, branded data, transparency reporting, and the microsite. The software is affordable. It's $1,400 per user per year. Again, the cost increases as the quantity increases. We've developed some very straightforward getting started programs. So proof of concept to help you determine whether Sustainable Minds software and services are going to be right for your company. Product benchmark so that you can start benchmarking a product or products. We can assist you in that process. And you can add a new product innovation phase to your product benchmark by bringing in Rich and his partner, industry experts in nonwovens, to help identify real technical opportunities and bring those technologies to market. To wrap up, we encourage you to ask us about doing full LCAs or third-party verification of your LCAs. Private data set, how to keep your data private. Communicating with your suppliers. Our Greener Supplier Management Rewards Program. And again, our transparency reporting. We're super excited about this development, particularly for manufacturers when there is no PCR for your product category, you're disinclined to produce an EPD, your LCA results don't meet new PCR guidelines. There's a lot of reasons why transparency reporting today is challenging and expensive. And we are working to make transparency reporting efficient, understandable, cost-effective, and ultimately enable your customers who are not life cycle scientists to be able to understand the information in the report, make comparisons, and ultimately make better purchase decisions. So thank you for attending today's webcast, hanging in there, asking your questions. Encourage you to let us know how we can work with you moving forward by responding to the exit survey questions. Happily, we'll send you the deck. We will be following up with you. And please tell your friends and colleagues, game on, and together with INDA, we will enable product categories in the nonwovens industry to credibly design and market greener products.